Sammy the Bull Gravano back in studio. He's got a podcast called Our Thing, Season 5, available for streaming on Crime and Conspiracy Network, and you can check out his website, SammyTheBull.com. Good to see you again, Sammy.
My pleasure, my pleasure. We had a great time last time, and I think I stole some of your viewers, and I'm going to try and do it again.
Good.
Nice.
There's enough room in the podcast world for people who love Sammy and myself. We know about Sammy's past, but I'll get some people caught up. Initiated in the Gambino family and made. He was a made man. We now all learned that from Goodfellas and other movies. In 1976, how were you made? Do you remember that day and what the ceremony was?
Clear as a bell. It was one of the most important days of my life. In a way, it was good, and in a way, it screwed up my life. So it was important in a lot of different ways. I went to a little house, went down the basement. Paul Castellano was there, table full of guys, captains and made guys. I took a blood oath. I cut my finger. I put my blood on a saint. Rolled it back and forth in my hand while I took the oath, and as of that day, I was a made member.
What is the oath? Do you remember it?
You know, I initiated the oath to other people when I got up in rank. There's a lot of things. The Italian parts of it I knew. Parts of it, when they were talking in Italian, I didn't even understand. But they ask you a lot of questions. They tell you it's a brotherhood and a secret society. And if you'd like to be a member of that secret society, and then they ask you things, would you kill for the family? And they asked if I knew everybody who was there, and I said yes. Most of them I know, but I knew their position. Some of them were captains, and some of them were made guys. And they asked if I liked them, and I said yes. And all of some rules of Cosa Nostra that would be explained later. And I took the blood oath, and I became a made member in the mafia.
What is the ranking order to the mafia if you sort of compared it to the military, where you go, look at the 4-star general, that's the Don or something, and then you move down, like you say, like captain and made guys. You would have to be a made guy to be a captain, right?
Yeah, before you were a captain, you would be a made guy. The administration, they call it, is the head of the family, the boss, the underboss, and the consigliere of the family. Below them are the captains. Below them, each captain has a crew of made men. Below that, there's associates in the mafia. The boss, the representant of the family, is the father of the family. It's a little different than the military, because I was in the military. I understand the chain of command with that. But he is the father of your family. So he's above, they tell you, he's above everything. God, country, and family.
Good.
Personal family.
So tell me what you think of this, because we'll try to have some more modern day application to the days of yore when you were in the family. You know, I'm looking down and you see that, you guys were involved in construction and trucking. You always hear garbage and stuff like that. And it seems to me that organized crime sort of does what will let them do. And if you take a look at, let's say, the Mexican, what's going on in Mexico and a lot of the organized crime there, they'll go, all right, we're in the pot business. And then at some point we legalize pot. And they go, okay, now we're in the fentanyl business. And then we'll legalize this or change that. And they go, okay, now we're in the human trafficking business. You know, they're very fluid. Like, they'll go where the money is, and they will be totally diverse.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing drugs, they're doing people, they're doing coyote smuggling work. Like, they're literally doing what essentially we shut this door and they just go open that door. Is that a fair assessment? And how much do you know about?
Well, that's the Mexican gangs, cartels, stuff like that. The mafia is different. We see what society needs and wants. Started with prohibition and so many different things. And we fit right in. Gambling started with us.
Right.
Vegas started with us. Construction, industries, garbage, making bread. Every industry we infiltrated. Clothing industry, the diamond industry, the stock market. You name it, we're in it. Some capacity, we fit our 2 cents in it. Unions were literally created and run by the mob back in the day. So we fit in all over the place, and we take a piece of everything that we do. So we're different. We don't, I don't want to compare myself with a cartel or the mafia with a cartel. We do have some scruples and morals above that. You mentioned fentanyl. You know, I'm on a campaign with that. I can't stand that drug. You know, and I'm talking on shows and I'm talking about how they're getting all kinds of different pills and they're lacing it with that.
Right.
They're intentionally getting people hooked.
Right.
And killing a lot of people because just a little bit, you can like accidentally overdose. Just like the smallest amount. It's so scary.
It's horrible. We had, I think, something like the #1 killer of people under 40 now is ODing, and the thing that's fucked up about it is the people in power, the government, fucked up the border. So all the fentanyl's coming over the border. So we go, what's going on with the fentanyl? And they go, well, we're not interested because it's coming over because we fucked up the border. So we don't have the people in charge taking note of it, because the next question, if you go to fentanyl is a national emergency, then the next question is what the fuck are you doing with the border? And they don't want to get to that next question.
Let me jump in for that.
Yes.
You know, we have a ship. Let's call it, we have a ship, a naval ship in the water. We have 200 sailors on it. And it's torpedoed or missile hit it from another country. It wouldn't take 2 seconds. We would declare war. We'd be in an all-out war for 200 people in a ship.
Right.
We have 100,000 people hooked on fentanyl. 50,000 people died. And there's no war.
Right.
That's okay. Opening up the border, we're humane, and we letting this come in. It's not that we don't know. Every government agency is telling the government, or the Border Patrol, everybody, this is pouring into our country. Now, they're not stupid politicians. So what is it? If they're not stupid, they completely understand what's going on, why wouldn't they shut this border? So it brings back money, greed, power. Mm-hmm. This is where the mafia differs from that, even these politicians. You could say the mafia is more violent or more dangerous. I don't think so.
Oh, not than the cartels.
Not even close.
God.
Not only the cartels, we know where it's coming from. We know it's coming from China and India.
Yeah. No, not only that, but I mean, we have a whole semi-trucks with 50 people who just perished in the most unimaginable way possible, just locked into the back of a container in the back of a semi-truck, just abandoned in the Texas desert to all expire. 50 people, and our government wants to get the Border Patrol mounted patrol suspended because there's pictures of them waving their reins around while Haitians run for cover. That's where they focus all of their energy, which is insane. It's
totally
insane what's happened.
And I would like to ask you, more than him, where's the Me Too movement? Where are they? There's kids being raped, molested on coming through the border. Legitimate people from Mexico and different countries. It's not just Mexico.
Yeah.
Coming through for real. You're trying to get away from some horrible countries. They're being prostituted, raped,
It's terrible.
killed. But where's the Me Too movement? Why don't they say something about that?
I have no idea because I have a
I don't mean it
no.
because you're a woman. I'm saying it. I'm directing it as Me Too movement as women. Why wouldn't you care about that?
It's the same as when some Muslims beat a woman to death for not wearing her hijab correctly.
Yes.
They don't give two fucks.
Right.
They're worried about states and abortion or the ceiling 77 cents of the dollar. They're worried about first world woman's problems versus the real atrocities that are going on because they're hypocrites. But also, there are the most woke people in the world, and the Muslims are a different culture, and the Mexicans are a different culture, and they're a little bit darker in skin tone, and you cannot judge. The second somebody becomes an ethnicity other than white, we're done judging. Right. We spend all our energy trying to tear down a fucking statue of some founding father or something, and we have zero thoughts about what's going on in the Middle East or on the other side of the border.
It's horrific.
You know, I just had a serious argument. Somebody was telling me about during the pandemic, there's a problem with people giving up dogs to shelters, and they couldn't afford to feed them, or they're giving them up. And nobody adopts them during this pandemic. They didn't want them. So they're killing dogs. They're putting them down. And I just talked to some people, women, and they were completely livid by that.
Yes.
So I said, what would you want them to do with all these dogs if there's that many? I mean, and then you're super involved in that. It's really disgusting, but you don't mind a woman's body. You want to kill kids. You want to have abortions.
There's a lot of
hypocritical bullshit.
Well, there's a lot of
you kill people.
First off, women.
And you're worried about dogs.
Listen, if you here's a woman's wiring. If you said a plane crashed and 279 people, including the crew, died, and they'd go, oh, and then you go, and 3 dogs. They'd go, oh my God,
right?
Like.
By the way, speaking as a woman, that is not me.
That is not you.
That is definitely not me.
But I'm going to give you a couple $100. Your pants are ripped. What's the matter with you?
I actually came here to get a couple $100 from you. That's why I wore these pants.
You got it.
I have a question.
Years ago, if I wore pants with rips like that, they'd call me a bum. Now it's sexy. It's cool.
It is. It is sexy.
It is. I love it.
And I'll take that $200.
I have a question that I've never thought of, and I don't know if it's ever been asked. But, you're talking about the mafia getting involved with unions and getting involved with bakeries and transportation and construction and garbage and all that prohibition. It was kind of interesting. What you're saying is people want to gamble and they wanted booze. The mafia just went, all right, we'll figure this out. Right. But did the mafia or has the mafia made any businesses better in the sense that I have an agent, you have an agent, they take 10% or whatever, but you go, I'll give you your cut. You wet your beak because you got me a better job or a better deal. In your recollection, has the mafia made any businesses better, innovated?
Absolutely. I mean, we made Vegas. We built half the country by bringing in people and running unions and stuff like that. But politicians are what destroyed it. Politicians turned around with the unions and from donations to politicians. It's not money under the table. It's an actual donation. They made laws that were horrible for the people. I'll give you an example. They had the car business. So they passed a law that everybody who works 15, 18 years gets a retirement thing. And that was good. It was passed and it went through. The only thing is that people who went to work there at 23 years old, they were retiring at 43. And we're paying them forever.
Right.
Now, if you look at the statistics, most of the cars, about a third of the car, is paid into people who don't even work there no more.
Right.
So if a $30,000 car, if you could find one for $30,000, $10,000 is going to people who are not even working there, and the $20,000 is for the car, the material, and people who are working there. So we're paying a fortune.
Yeah, I always have this thought. If you ever know someone, I have a cousin who's like married to a fireman, and then you see him at Thanksgiving, and you go like, what are you doing? And The guy's like 47. He's like, I'm thinking of retiring next year because I can get full benefits for the rest of my life. And I'm like, I've never even danced for half a step with the notion of retiring. It's like I got to get out and earn every single day. This guy's 10 years younger than me, and he's talking about full benefits and full pay. And by the way, doing another job.
Yeah, of course.
Like I'm just going to get into construction. Right. Yes, there is a thing that we think like, what's wrong with taking care? Like we do this all the time. We go like, don't these people deserve to be taken care of? Look around. Look in this building. Who amongst us is guaranteed to be taken care of for the rest of our lives? It's kind of up to us. Yeah. Like if you'd like to sock some money away or make some investments, good on you. But I always, it's funny, you'll go like the cop, the fireman, the school teacher, you go, yeah, you need to be taken care of. But then I look around, I see the guy working at Trader Joe's and the person, single mom doing comedy. It's like, where's your pension? Where's your, who's taking care of you?
I think it's good that they get a retirement, but not full pay.
Get
a retirement pay, 40%, 30% or something. But see, they pass these laws.
No, listen, I talked to a guy who sold private aircraft once. He was our Uber driver.
So now he's an Uber driver and he used to sell private airplanes?
Well, there's two kinds of Uber drivers. There is the desperate person who's unemployable, who you get 86% of the time.
Yes.
Then once in a while, you get this 77-year-old retired guy
who just wants
who's made his nut. He just gets up at 4:30 every morning and he's bored.
Loves driving people to the airport.
He likes talking to people. And he said to us, I think half the cost of every private, if you want to buy a Lear jet for $25 million, half of it is insurance shit.
Oh my God.
Half of it is litigation. You could imagine all the cases and all the litigations and all the whatever. It's like you are paying, it's getting all tacked on to the price of this car or the price of the plane. Like it's all lawyers, insurance, government, blah, blah, blah.
Everything gets piled on.
So, Sammy, I think we talked last time you were here about some of the hits. Are we calling them hits you've done over the years?
You could.
Do they say the word hit, or how would they say it if they wanted someone to go away?
A lot of things. I got your ticket.
Oh.
Your ticket means if I'm talking to another mob guy, I have Adam's ticket.
Oh.
Really? Do you need help?
Oh.
All right.
So if I got your ticket, because I don't want to say it on the phone that I got Adam's hit.
Right.
There's a lot of bugs on these phones. So you would say something, I got a ticket.
Right.
How much negotiation, like if somebody says, hey, we're going to give you Adam's ticket, how much wiggle room is there for you to go, yeah, he's not that bad a dude? Or
there's plenty of room. In other words, I've done that a ton of times. In other words, we don't need to do that. There's no need to that. It depends on the situation. It depends what rule you broke, and it depends on the boss. The boss's word is gospel. Mm-hmm. So I could present myself to the boss and say, listen, I know the guy a lot of years. He made this mistake. We could talk to him. We could do this. We could do that. We could chase him. Get the fuck out of New York and never come back. We could do a lot of things. But if the boss don't want to hear your argument, you got to go.
How many times would the boss listen to you and be like, okay, we'll give him another shot, or he can just leave?
It happened a lot. When we killed Paul Castellano and Tommy Bellotti, I sat in a room with Frankie DeChico, who was still alive, John Gotti, myself, and Joe Watts and a few people. And Joe Watts said, if we take out Joey Bellotti now, we could take over Staten Island.
Right.
And I had said, that's what we're going to do now? We're going to kill people over money. And Frankie said, what do you think, Sammy? I think he's a tough guy. But I think he understands the life. His brother was with Paul. His brother was a dick. And he had to go. I think we should give him a chance. And Frankie DeChico agreed with me. And John said, well, who's going to go sit with him? I said, I'll go sit with him. And I was a captain right after the hit. And I could put him with me. If he strikes out, he's going to take a captain out. I'll put him with me. And Frankie says, I'll go with Sammy and talk with him. And we saved him. He died of old age.
Wow.
So I saved him. I sat with him. When I met with him in a diner, Frankie DeChico was with me. I said, Joey, how long you know me? A lot of years, Sammy. I opened my jacket. There was a gun. I said, if I was here to kill you, would you be dead? Absolutely. And I closed my jacket. I said, I'm not here for that. I'm here to save you. What happened with your brother happened with your brother. Your brother's got a bunch of kids. You got a bunch of kids. You got your kids, your nieces, your nephews to take care of. You've been a good man. You understand Cosa Nostra. You understand what your brother did. You can live. You'll be under me. Frankie told him that's exactly why I'm here, because Sammy talked for you. And he lived.
What did his brother do that got him not to live?
He was a bully. He was really ready to hurt you all the time. Mm-hmm. He was not a good guy. He was one of them vicious guys. He was a bully. And he was there to hurt you all the time. So who's going to talk to him? He wasn't liked because of those reasons. So if he's going to be there and he's Paul's right-hand man, fuck it, he goes too.
Yeah, it's weird. Sort of like any job. It's so much easier to fire a shithead than it is a nice person.
Absolutely.
You cut them so much more leeway and slack, you know? Right. And I guess the mafia is that way too. Like if you're just personable. Right. You bring donuts to the mob meeting every time. It's just going to be.
People like to work with you.
People will not want to whack you.
Well, I love
readily.
donuts. I never thought of that, but I mean that would work with me.
That would work for you.
Sure.
Can I ask you a question? What is the ratio, and is there like a turning point? I mean, between the good guys and the ones that like either get a taste of the power or the taste of the killing, and they just become like serial killers. They just become vicious. Like, what is the ratio? How often did that happen?
It's small ratio. Roy DeMeo, gas pipe, they got like that.
Right.
We don't deal with that. Roy DeMeo was killed because of that. Mm-hmm. He crossed that line. It's not a hit. He was killing people for nothing.
Right.
And I remember going to
And that's a big liability, right?
Oh, a tremendous liability. And I'll give you I went to a meeting one time. We were talking about stealing cars and delivering them to Kuwait. He was there with his captain. I was an acting captain. Louis Melito was my guy. We sat down, we talked, and he would drift away. We had a back room, but there was all retired people sitting down. And he drifted away, was looking at the people. So I told him, Roy, this is starting to bore you, this conversation? No, Sammy, what's the matter? No, I don't know. You see you watching over there, we're talking here. And he said, look at these people. It was about 30 people, maybe a little less. I think the youngest person may have been 60. Mm-hmm. The oldest one was 90. And he says, if I had 2 9mm, I could kill all of these fucking people before you can blink your eyelash.
Oh, my God.
And I said, wow. Most of them would have a heart attack as soon as you start shooting. So I says, all right. And I said, listen, let's wind this up, the meeting. We wound it up. And I was walking out with Louis Melito. I said, did you hear what he told me about killing the people? Yeah. He says, yeah, I heard him. I said, we got to pay attention to this, bro. Who the fuck? We're talking about bringing cars to Kuwait and making money, stealing cars. He's thinking about killing these people. Old people. Bro, when we meet with him, when we make any appointments, let's get on guard. This guy lost it. That's what he's fantasizing about, bro, while we're talking about cars. He wasn't even paying attention to cars no more. And sure enough, he became a serial killer, killed tons of people. And this is why he got killed.
And you say serial killer. That. By the way, Just so you know, when people are talking about old people, I'm thinking about cars. So I have the wiring you need for these kinds of discussions. Your dad had a
As soon as you
stroke.
said cars, Adam checked out of the rest of that story. He's
cars.
like, wait, get back to the cars.
When you say serial killer, do you mean serial killer within the mob, or we're going outside?
No, outside.
Not outside or not?
Listen, I had another conversation with him. I went down to his club, and
How many people do you think he killed?
200.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah, I believe he killed 200 people.
So
I
he's
went
the
to
most
him,
prolific
Paul
serial killer ever, then.
Oh, probably. I went to him and told him that Paul was looking for guys to become made guys. And I had some guys that I was going to propose. I said, you got a lot of good guys around. You're going to propose people? He said, yeah, maybe. He says, all my guys are good. I said, yeah. I said, they did work and all. Yeah. He said, Sammy, the coffee boy killed 20 people with me. What? The coffee boy. He said, I killed over 200 people. I said, 200 people? Who the fuck is giving you this work? You're a head guy. Who's giving you this? Because you're not allowed to just go kill people. You got to get permission from the boss and everything. He wasn't asking permission from the boss. His uncle worked at a bar. This is all documented stuff now because people cooperated around him and everything. And his uncle at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning would call up, there's a guy here, nobody's here, he's drunk. He'd tell his guys, all right, stop playing cards. Come on, let's go. They go in the bar, they bring him in, they shoot him, they strip him, they hang him in the shower, cut his throat, cut his everything open, so to bleed him out, so they don't have to make a mess. Chop him up and get rid of the body and continue playing cards.
Because he wouldn't leave the bar.
No, there's no reason. He told me, he said, Sammy, because I told him, the guy didn't do anything, it's just the guy in the bar. Oh. He said, yeah. So I said, bro, that's fucking wild. Why would you do that? He said, Sam, you got to keep them sharp. You know what I mean? Now, tough guy or no tough guy says, yeah. I know what you mean. I do the same thing, which I didn't, but I'm not going to let him know. Mm-hmm. And I said, bro, this fucking guy is completely gone. This is a serial killer. Right. And it was known by a lot of guys. John Gotti knew it. Frankie Chico knew it. Paul got to know it. And we killed him. Listen, we would kill a serial killer or a rapist or a child molester in our neighborhood because it's our neighborhood. Even though I don't know you, you're a person in my neighborhood. This neighborhood belongs to me. You belong to me. I don't want you touched. I don't want you raped. Could be you. It could be my daughter. It could be my cousin. It could be my niece. It could be something. So we don't want this guy in our neighborhood. There was that guy, the son of Sam, a long time ago. He was shooting couples in the car, making love. And the mob actually started working with the cops to hunt them down. And that's a true story, too. So we don't want that in our neighborhood. I mean, people who came in our neighborhood, they weren't afraid of us because they would give the answer, yeah, they kill. They kill each other when they break rules. But to us, we're safe.
What would you, how did you go about killing this guy?
Who?
The serial killer.
Roy DeMeo?
Roy DeMeo.
I wasn't involved in the murder. Frankie the Chico called me one day and he says, Sammy, I got Roy's ticket. I said, I'll meet you in a little bit. And I said, bro, the whole fucking crew is out of their minds. They're all dangerous, the whole crew. They're all sick. You need help? He said, no, I got this covered. Paul had given the contract to John Gotti. John Gotti heard he had the contract. It was obvious he was nervous about it. Paul withdrew the contract from him and gave it to Frankie the Chico. Frankie the Chico went and grabbed his two guys. They called them the twins and said, all of yous are going to die. I could get you two guys a pass. Yous kill him. You two guys kill him.
Oh, so his own crew.
His own crew. The two top guys he had killed him. And They got a pass. Frankie and Paul lived to their word, but we transferred them the fuck out of the family. We gave them to the Lucchese family, to gas pipe, not a half a cycle. We got rid of them. We didn't kill them, but we got rid of them.
His partially frozen body was found in the trunk of his car with a chandelier on top of it, so says the internet. So this guy was killing civilians. He'd just kill anybody.
Anybody.
Oh, my God.
And they think they got to 200.
That was his words to me. Now, I don't know for a fact, but believe me, I took his word because that's what they were doing in that bar. That guys in that crew who cooperated later said this. So this is a factual thing. He gave names and people. I don't know if the number reached 200, but that's what he told me. But I knew he was completely gone. I know he killed. There was a thing about a guy, a salesman, was coming to his house. He saw him, and he went and grabbed a gun. He thought, I don't know what he thought. The guy went backwards and went to the car, opened up the trunk, and got something out of the trunk. When he came up to his house, he killed him. It wound up being, he was probably paranoid. It wound up being a salesman. He went back to his trunk to get so whatever the fuck he was selling.
Right. Vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say vacuum cleaner. Whatever it was. It wasn't a thing, but it was a box or some.
Encyclopedias.
And he gets killed.
Oh, my God.
So he was just completely off the wall. He was gone.
He was fantasizing about killing like 30 men right there. I mean, that's, yes.
30 old people.
Can I ask you a question? I mean, we were talking a little bit about this before, about the emotional support dog, but okay, what was your level of stress when you were deep in it? Just reading about your life, which is incredibly interesting, gives me anxiety. How was it like every day when you'd wake up? Were you just like, today could be my last, did you feel that stress day in and day out?
No.
You didn't?
No.
You just never thought about it?
I thought about it. I thought when I was a little younger and I got into the mafia and I started doing things, I says, I'm not going to live to 40. Either I'm going to go to prison for life or I'm going to die. And I just lost fear. It just didn't even enter my mind anymore. It was like an everyday thing. I lived my life in the mafia. I did a lot of things, ran unions, I did construction. I just didn't wake up. I didn't want to kill somebody every morning or do anything.
Right.
And when I got ordered to do something, I did it. I did it very effectively. I wound up being a top-notch hit guy. That's why I have so many, because I was used for it. I didn't pull the trigger all the time. Mm-hmm. I planned these things. My planning, I was in 3 mafia wars. I was in the Colombo family in a mafia war. I was in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, that mafia war, and then the one with Paul. The Paul one is my planning. I sat in the car with John Gotti, was my driver. And I had the walkie-talkie, talking to the hit guys. Get ready, the backup shooters, the shooters. That was my plan.
Yeah, backup shooters.
Oh, absolutely. I was as well. I had a 357 Magnum and the walkie-talkie. So when I planned this with Frankie the Chico and myself and John Gotti, and John Gotti says, it's crazy. It's 5:30 at night in Manhattan. There's 50 million cops, and people all over the place. So I said, I think that'll work in our favor. Frankie the Chico said, hey, John, this is your fucking problem. We're coming to help you. If you don't want to do it, then me and Sammy are out. You do it by yourself. And he said, no, we'll do it. And I thought of that, the confusion, Manhattan, shoulder to shoulder, 5:30 at night, right before Christmas. People are coming down.
So many people. To
come down and meet the people coming out of work, going to see the Christmas tree or shopping or go to Broadway plays or whatever they're doing. So it was overpacked. And I knew that something like that, cops were mostly on the corners. There was no place to park. Spark Steakhouse had the front. You couldn't park, so you would pull your car in there. A guy would take it and go park it. So that's the only place they could stay. So we knew where he was going to be, where the car was going to be. and I planted the people right around it. There was 11 guys on that hit. And I said, as soon as the shooting starts, there's going to be such confusion, people running, ducking, screaming. Nobody's going to know what the hell is going on. John, again, wasn't happy with it, but Frankie said, that's the plan. We were planning this for quite a while. We couldn't get the right spot. And it worked to a T. The cops, when I cooperated, I was talking with the agents, they said a cop actually witnessed it off duty. And they asked him, why didn't you go for your service revolver? Mm. He said, the way it was came down, so instant, so fast, it was so well planned. I knew there had to be backup shooters. I wasn't taking out a fucking gun. I knew that something was wrong. And they asked him about it. When I cooperated and I was with them, I said, listen, the guy wasn't wrong, bro. He may have been about 75 feet, because I asked, where was he? I said, he was about 75 feet in front of me. I said, he was right. I was also a backup shooter. Once the shooting stopped, I put the thing down. I would have jumped out of the car and I would have killed him.
Right.
So I'm telling you, the guy was right. He made a smart move by not, and it was so well planned. He couldn't stop it. He couldn't do anything. And it happened so quick. And there was such a flow of people running in every which direction.
How quick? When you say how quick was it from the beginning to end?
If somebody threw a shot in this room right now, boom, 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 right now, that quick. The whole three of us.
Seconds.
It's seconds. It's not even, it's a split second.
Oh my God.
We all three of us would react. Oh my God, what the, we would react to it. We would duck or look, this and that. We're not paying attention where the shot and who's shooting.
Right.
We're paying attention to get the fuck away from something that's going on. Excuse my language.
That's all right. So it's kind of interesting in that I think people think we should do it on a dark, quiet street somewhere, but the chaos factor is something that was planned into it because
at Christmas time.
It's sort of like when there's a school shooting and everyone's running out of the school. The cops don't know who the shooter is because
what's going on?
Humanity is just pouring out into the street, and they don't know who's done what, and that's what you were relying on.
Yeah,
right. That was my plan, and I didn't plan the Russian hats and the white jackets, the trench coats. I didn't plan that. Somebody else did, but it was perfect. Again, after I cooperated, I talked with the feds, and they said, Sammy, we interviewed 50, 60 people who saw the shooting. And what'd you get? Nothing. We asked people how tall. We got all different sizes. Nothing matched. What they looked like. They had Russian hats and white coats. How heavy were they? I don't know. 40 people, 50 people, witnesses. They got zero.
Did you, you spent a lot of time with the FBI.
Yeah.
What do you reckon's going on with the FBI now?
This isn't the FBI that when I cooperated, I was with a group of FBI people who were real FBI people, legitimate FBI people who cared about right and wrong. I'll tell you what they told me all the time. Tell the fucking truth. I had told them once in a case, they had arrested somebody. I said, sometimes you're going to love me, sometimes you're going to hate me. They said, why? I said, because this guy you arrested, that's not true. He didn't do this. When you understand, if you're asked, tell the truth. That's all. Don't worry about losing the case. We're not going to hate you. As long as you tell the truth. And if we lose the case because of that, so be it. So those are the kind of FBI guys that I was with. There was a couple that were a little weird, and they pulled them away from me immediately. I'll give you an example. I'm talking with them every morning and playing chess. I was with them for months, and I lived with them, ate with them, lived with them, slept with them.
Well, where were you?
Quantico, military base.
Oh, Quantico. Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know, I forgot what I was going to say, but whatever it was, I mean, I was with them and they were, straight up with me with everything. One guy comes to me, one agent, at night after we got done talking and we ate, and a couple of them went to bed. So he comes over and he says, Sammy, he says, me and you, we're going to have a very close relationship. We're going to have secrets. Really. I thought I'm cooperating. I'm telling the truth. What secrets are we going to have? No, just between me and you. I told him, are you gay?
I just was going to say that.
What kind of fucking secrets? He said, no, I'm not gay, Sammy. Then what kind of secrets are we going to have, bro? I mean, I'm here cooperating. I told it all. There's no secrets. He's playing good guy, bad guy, cop with me. So it's a fucking childish game. And the next day, they got rid of him. I never saw him again.
Really?
They got rid of him. And there was one agent who wrote up something, I told the story, and then he wrote it up. They called it a 302. And they took it to me, and they said, Sammy, read this. I read it. And I said, where'd you get this from? It's the story of this hit. Whoever's telling you this is lying, bro. I'm telling you, I just told you the story. That's a lie. They called the guy in. They said, that's what you told us. And I said, bro, I didn't tell you that. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I didn't tell you that. The prosecutor came in and said, he took the paper and read it and said, I heard him telling the story. What the fuck did you write here? And he ripped it up and threw it away and said, from here on out, write a brief, because it was 2 pages long, write a brief story. Because if Sammy's on the stand, he's not going to go with this. He'll say this is bullshit. The lawyer will say, well, the FBI guy did it. Well, then he's lying. I don't know who the fuck is lying, but I did not say this. That's what I will say in court.
So your experience with the FBI is they were straight up.
Straight up.
And recently they seem to be a little bit politicized, I would say.
A little bit?
A little bit. Yeah.
You're being kind.
Yeah, which is kind of weird territory to be in, to have them rooting for one side or the other and affecting elections and outcomes and things like that. I mean, it's like, it's not a conspiracy theory. First off, whistleblowers are now coming out. But the fact to me that something like the Hunter Biden laptop, that 51 former FBI and CIA and securities all signed a petition saying it reeked of Russian collusion when they had the laptop. Like, that's the part. I get what CNN is doing. They want Biden to win, so they're covering for Biden's. And 60 Minutes, going, there's no way to verify it. It's like, how can you keep saying there's nowhere to verify something that you have in your possession, which is a laptop, which is the most verifiable thing in the world? But the fact that the FBI was essentially running interference for Biden and his son, and now that the whistleblowers are coming out, it's also abundantly clear because of why would 51 guys sign a petition saying what it was when they never examined it? Everyone should have been agnostic, including ABC and CNN. They should have went, I don't know if it's real.
Right.
Someone look into it. Not, I won't look into it, and it's not real.
Right.
Which is what they did, which is now a scary time because the FBI, who was supposed to just be dealing with guys like Sammy, are now kind of wetting their beaks in political matters and elections and things like that, which is not what we want them to do.
I've talked, I'm still friendly with some agents. They retired. And I asked that question, not on a show. I'm not going to mention their names. And I said, what do you think of this, bro? He said, Sammy, I was with you originally when you flipped and you were with us. And I've been an FBI agent most of my life.
When a kid growing up, that was my dream. I'm sick. I'm embarrassed to tell people that I'm an ex-FBI agent. Good. I'm glad you feel that way. I knew you would.
It's almost kind of reminds me of the arc of the mafia versus the drug cartels, which is that the mafia operated with some dignity and some honor and some codes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could definitely not like what they were doing, but they had a code.
They had a code.
And the FBI had a few faux pas along
Yes.
the way, but they had sort of a code.
They also had a code.
And now it just seems to be game on. And it's
Right.
it's a little scary when the government entities that big are getting sort of politicized and weaponized
Right.
and going out and doing the bidding of certain people. That is again, there's CNN and there's Fox News. Let them both go do their own thing. But the FBI is supposed to just the facts, man.
Yes.
And they're getting a little scary. I think there'll be some whistleblowing. There already is, and
Right.
there might be some very damning things that come out in the next several months.
I hope so, because the country's at stake. If we don't start doing the right thing, we're falling apart in so many different areas. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm a guy, call me whatever you want to call me, but I'm a criminal my whole life. I've never seen things like this. I mean, I've been involved in some good things, some bad things, and some ugly things. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I worry about my grandchildren and people's kids, or my kids. What kind of a future are we going to leave? I would tell people like us, I would say, when you have grandchildren, they're going to turn to you someday. They're going to say, Grandma, where the fuck were you in those years? Why didn't you say something? Why did you do something? You were around. Did you do anything? Or did you allow it?
I didn't want to be kicked off of Twitter.
I was on the Adam Carolla show.
I know,
and
that's the
that's what I
problem.
did.
That's the other problem. If you say something, you're liable to get kicked off. And
Well, that's the other scary part of the equation.
I'm on social media as well. I'm talking now, but I'm afraid of saying certain things how I feel because I'll get kicked off.
It is interesting to get an insight to the FBI through the eyes of a criminal who had to spend more time with the FBI than many that came before him or anyone else. But it in a way, it's almost more insightful to see, or more informational to kind of see how they conducted themselves and how they operated from your perspective versus a guy who worked for the FBI and was just in the corner office all week.
Right. I mean, when I was there, they were honorable people. I got to say the truth. Like, there was one or two I didn't like, and I didn't trust. But overall, like I said, I mean, I cooperated in 1991. This is 2022, almost 2023. I'm still friends with them. It's amazing how some of them I became friends with. They'll wish me Merry Christmas. I'll wish them Merry Christmas. Birthdays, we talk. And we talk about this bullshit like this, about what's going on with the FBI now. I've talked to some news people. I know a lot of news people now. I know this woman, and I know her for a lot of years now. And I said, you went to college, and you did great. And you became a news reporter. You're on TV. Well, behind the scenes, you're not an anchor, but you're behind the scenes, and you're becoming a heavyweight in the business. Yeah. You went out when you went to college and all to cure the world, to investigate, to find out the truth, to hold everybody's feet to the fire, right? Yeah. How do you feel now when they're lying? And you're part of it.
Yeah, it's dumbfounding to me because I think about journalistic integrity, but just sort of human integrity.
Yeah.
And when I hear, I turn on CNN and you see Sanjay Gupta and he's standing there with Don Lemon and he's like, Joe Rogan's eating horse paste. It's like, both you, come on. You have a job.
Yeah.
You went to college. You went to journalism school and stuff.
Right.
It's not horse paste. You know it's not horse paste. Why are you saying this? Like, where's your?
Well, you know what she told me?
Where's your code?
You know what she told me? Sammy, I'm a single mom. I got a good job. I got a good everything. She was crying on the fucking phone with me. She says,
yes.
If I say boo, I would be fired. And I'm sick half the times. Why would you bring this up to me?
Right. No.
She hung up on me and then called me back in a half hour and apologized. Because she's sick. Inwardly, she's sick, but she can't say nothing. Her editor will fucking knock her out like this. Boom.
As a single mom, I get that.
Yeah,
No,
I get it
people
too. I told her, listen, I understand. I get it. Don't hang up on me. I'm not mad at you.
Right.
I think the world of you, or I wouldn't talk to you like that. And I understand what you must be going through, because you are a good person. It must kill you half the time. You're backing something that you know is a fucking lie, and you're hurting innocent people. The mob, we hurt each other. In social media, whatever it is, when you go beyond this and you start hurting innocent fucking people, that's the end of the country, or you're like a fucking animal. You should be treated like a fucking animal. I mean, I don't get it either. All these investigations. Look at this governor, this state. I hope they'll let me out. But this state here turns around and says they had a couple of hot days. They sent alerts around.
Oh, yeah, the water alert.
We have problem with the electric grid. There's not that much electric. Lower your electric, do this, do that, do the other thing. He passes a law that all the cars are got to be electric cars. So there's 40 million people in California. And you got to figure there's got to be 28, 30 million cars. Where are you going to plug these cars in? You can't even deal with 2 fucking days of hot weather, and you're going to plug in 30 million fucking cars. How?
You know what?
Tell me how. But wait. Let me finish.
Let
me finish with this, because I could be the president of the United States
I'd
or the
vote
governor.
for you.
Because I would say, why don't we get the 40 or 50, 60 billion dollars we sent to Ukraine, turn around and say, I'm going to do all the power grids, make them, update them, do this, do that, do something where we could lower the amount of gas. You know those things at Disney where you stand in the car and it just shoots all over the place? It looks like a planet from another planet. It shoots all around and you're sitting there.
Oh, the little tram that goes all the way around.
Yeah.
Oh, that tram.
Why can't we put
trams.
those trams on highways in California?
Listen, we sunk $90 billion into a bullet train that went from like Merced to Sacramento. I don't know if they've laid any track yet.
There's nothing happening with that.
No.
We're just bad. What we need to do, here's the problem. Ford, GM, and Tesla, and Chrysler, and Honda, whatever. They're companies. The private. That's private industry. When you tell them, hey, we got to get this fleet from 72% gas powered to 90% electric. We got to get our whole fleet crossed over in a decade. They're business people. They fucking go to work. Like, that shit happens fast, and the cars get better, and the cars get more economical, and the price goes down, and whatever. We command Ford, GM, and all these places. We go, we need you to switch over to an electric fleet. Now, electric vehicles. And they go, all right, and they hit the ground running. Then we say to Gavin Newsom, you're in charge of the things that are going to charge the electric cars. And he fucks that in the ass 10 ways to Sunday. So it's not that Ford and GM and Tesla and everyone at Mercedes and Volvo, they're going to have tons.
They're going to have so many ready to go.
By 2035, they're going to have tons of offerings for us.
Right.
You could only imagine at the speed they're innovating in the EV world, where GM and Ford are going to be on electric vehicles 13 years from now.
Right.
They will be here. Gavin Newsom will be putting out a forest fire because he didn't manage to forest correctly, and will have no place to charge them. So that is the difference between the private industry and the governmental shit. My thing is
But don't you think he knows that?
I don't. I've
Come
interviewed
on,
the man.
he's
I
not
do not
stupid.
know what he knows.
He's not stupid.
People say that,
He don't
but
give
I've
a fuck
interviewed him. He
about the
doesn't give a
public.
fuck.
He don't give a fuck.
I'm
And he
with
wants to
you
run for
on
president
that.
now.
Oh, God.
Yeah, oh God. I mean, but they don't care.
I guess they don't care.
They want everybody's. I see people in California. I don't know if they're on drugs. Everybody's clapping. We're
Right.
going to have clean air. Where are you going to plug them?
And by the way, speaking of clean air, how are we going to create the energy to power the plug?
Yeah.
Right,
exactly.
which is
Coal power plant.
the end of the whole thing argument anyway. But here's what I really would like to do. I would like to see all those politicians who are demanding this because of clean air or whatever the reason is. It's a fake reason. I'd like to see where they what stocks they buy.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you it's in electric cars and different things.
Yeah, of course it is.
Followed-
It's all about money. That's all it is.
Nancy
follow-
Pelosi just
Yes.
went
They
to
follow her husband's
Nancy
stock
Pelosi,
buying.
Yeah. She just went to Taiwan, and now Taiwan's making the batteries. That would be
Yes.
whole country. You know, it takes a gangster to see this shit.
Yes.
We did this in a small way. I'm going to do a show, The Bullpen. It's a mafia news station. I'm going to talk about things on a private channel so I don't get bounced. I hope I don't get bounced. But I'm going to talk about that stuff. Why don't you look at your stock investments, your husband's stock investments, your sons, your daughters, your sisters, your uncle, your aunt, and that you keep pumping for these electric cars. Why?
Yeah.
If it's always money, power,
Yeah.
greed. It's one of those things that are there all the time. When we were running New York as the mafia, and we had the industry, the garment industry. I want her to wear this beautiful dress. Oh, you look so sexy in this dress. Look at it, it's great.
Look at me.
You know why? I don't give a shit about her. I'm making $5 a skirt.
Right.
I wanted to buy it. I wanted to buy it. I used to blow the horn and wave to the girl. She thinks I'm flirting with her. I love that dress.
One of yours. Well, Sammy, I feel like we could go on for another hour. But
This has been
unfortunately,
great.
I always love talking to Sammy
All
Bull
right. And I'm not
Gravano.
going to pay you the $200. Don't shake me down on public. I mean, I'm a gangster. You can't shake me down like
All
that.
right.
All right, here's the $200.
Our
But I'm
thing.
a Jew, so I want the 200.
The name of the podcast is Our Thing, and also SammyTheBull.com is where you can go to find out about all the new projects, the bullpen.
Yes.
Until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Sammy the Bull and Jody the Miller saying mahalo.